The 7 Worst Bible Translation Errors, YouTube. Today, we will discuss 7 terrible Bible translations. These are not the only ones, but I selected these examples to highlight the importance of studying the Bible in its original language and understanding biblical Hebrew, so you won't be misled or misinterpret what is most important: the Word of God. Before we start, don't forget to like this video. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now to receive notifications of surprising videos, which will also help the channel grow. The first example is a classic, the famous apple, the fruit of sin. Did you know that older editions of the Bible mention Adam and Eve eating the forbidden fruit and indicated that this fruit was an apple? That's why, even today, illustrations of the forbidden fruit often show Adam and Eve naked with an apple at the center, looking very tempting. However, if you read the Bible, you'll see that it never specifies the forbidden fruit as an apple. The Bible only describes it as the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil from a specific tree in the Garden of Eden. There is no mention of the fruit's type. Many theories try to explain how the fruit of knowledge became associated with an apple, but it's clear that this is a mistranslation. The second example still occurs in some translations. We know that God sent 10 plagues to Egypt to free the Israelites from slavery. The 4th plague, called a Rav in Hebrew, is often translated as flies. This leads many to believe that Egypt was plagued by flies. However, the correct translation refers to wild animals. This difference completely changes the understanding. When the plague ended, God ensured no animals were left in Egypt, unlike other plagues, such as the frogs, which remained. This removal of the animals makes sense because the Egyptians could have used their meat or hides. Translating a Rav as flies makes this passage incoherent. The third mistranslation concerns slavery. Some interpret the Bible as permitting a master to beat a slave as long as the slave doesn't die immediately. This contradicts the Bible's essence, which condemns causing suffering to any living being, including animals. According to the Bible, if a master caused a slave's death, the master would be condemned to death for killing a human being. Although biblical slavery was different from the modern historical concept, slaves were treated as part of the household, with rights to food, clothing, shelter, and gifts to help them start anew after their servitude. The 4th case involves a misinterpretation about non-virgin women. Some claim the Bible orders the death of women who are not virgins when they marry. This is a contextual error. The specific passage refers to adultery. In biblical times, engagement was considered a part of marriage. If a fiancé betrayed her betrothed before the marriage was consummated, it was considered adultery, punishable by death for both the woman and her lover. However, there is no biblical prohibition against marrying non-virgin women. The 5th example addresses violence against women. Some interpret the Bible to mean that a woman who is assaulted and doesn't cry out for help deserves to be stoned. This interpretation is absurd and ignores the context. The Bible distinguishes between violence in urban and rural areas. In cities, if a married woman didn't call for help, it could raise suspicions of consent. However, if she were in a field where no one could hear her, it would be presumed that the act was against her will. In any case, a woman who has been assaulted is considered innocent, and the aggressor must be severely punished. The 6th case refers to the idea that a man who forces a virgin into a sexual act is obligated to marry her. This is incorrect. The Bible states that, in such cases, the man must compensate the woman financially. Marriage would only occur if the woman desired it, but it was never obligatory. Forcing a woman to live with her aggressor contradicts biblical values. The 7th case involves eunuchs or bastards supposedly being forbidden from entering the congregation of God. Many interpret this as a prohibition from entering sacred places, but the term congregation refers to marriage within the Israelite community. In the case of eunuchs, the concern was their inability to consummate a marriage, as the Bible values the physical and emotional aspects of marital union. These are just 7 examples, but there are many more cases of biblical misinterpretations. This is why it is essential to study the Bible in its original language with qualified teachers to understand its message accurately. E. Profunda.